The Social Security Administration, they've been making headlines lately, and maybe you're wondering what's going on with all of that. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay informed because we're doing a deep dive into the proposed changes and make it directly impact you. So it all started with this proposal to stop offering phone services, for people who are applying for retirement and disability benefits. Can you even imagine what kind of impact that would have on like 73 million Americans who rely on those phone lines? I mean, that's a huge number of people. This initial proposal, well, it's met with a lot of opposition, especially from advocates for the elderly and the disabled, those who might not have internet access or have trouble navigating online systems. The backlash was so strong that the SSA actually backed down from that proposal. But that's not where the story ends. The push for these cuts, it actually came from the Department of Government Efficiency, better known as DOGE. This team, and it's led by Elon Musk, by the way, aims to cut costs across all of these federal agencies, including the SSA, and they cite concerns about fraud and waste and abuse. And one of their main targets, alleged fraud involving deceased individuals actually receiving benefits. But as it turns out, this issue, it really stemmed from an outdated technology system, not actual fraud. Career staff at the SSA, they even clarified this point, but Musk continued to voice concerns about potential fraud within the SSA, especially regarding changes to direct deposit information made over the phone. And this brings us to the one change that the SSA is actually moving forward with. They're eliminating the option to update your direct deposit information over the phone. They say it's a way to combat fraud, but isn't really the most effective solution. And what about all those people who really rely on phone services, because they don't have access to the internet, or they struggle with technology, or maybe they have disabilities that make it really challenging for them to use those online platforms. This whole situation has sparked a lot of debate about finding that balance between preventing fraud and making sure everyone has access to these really vital services. So while the SSA says they're really dedicated to protecting public funds, critics argue that this focus on phone-related fraud, it's just blown out of proportion and it doesn't warrant these really drastic measures. They point out that SSA employees, they're trained to verify people's identities, and that these cases of people actually exploiting the system through phone calls, well, they're not as common as some might believe. So it really raises the question, are these changes really necessary? Are they going to help or hurt more people in the long run? And what does this all mean for the future of Social Security? These are all really important questions. We're going to keep digging into them as we continue our deep dive, so stay tuned. Okay, so think about this for a second. Imagine you're trying to apply for benefits, especially disability benefits. It can be so incredibly complicated, and a lot of people, they really depend on that phone support like it's a lifeline. This is especially true for anyone who, doesn't have internet access, or they're not very comfortable with technology, or they have disabilities that make it hard to use those online systems. So what happens to those folks if phone services were limited? Do they just slip through the cracks? Oh, and by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're finding this deep dive informative. We appreciate your support. So the SSA, they handle millions of claims every year for retirement, survivor, and disability benefits, as well as supplemental security income. That's a lot of people. And these programs, they distribute literally trillions of dollars in benefits, and a huge chunk of those claims, they're handled over the phone. So this just highlights how important those phone services are, in giving people that support they need. But here's the thing, the SSA's phone lines, they're already kind of infamous for those long wait times. And this problem, well, it's probably just going to get worse as services are cut and more people are forced to use those online and in-person channels that are already stretched thin. Imagine the frustration and the delays that could cause. It could leave people without the help they desperately need. And DOGE, they're mainly worried about identity theft, where someone pretends to be someone else to steal benefits. And they're also concerned about potential abuse within the disability program. And while identity theft is a legitimate concern, experts and SSA employees, they say that these cases of people gaming the disability system through phone calls, they're not as widespread as some people might think. They point out that SSA employees, they're trained to verify identities by asking a lot of questions, which makes it tougher for those fraudulent claims to get through. Fraud related to direct deposit transactions, well, that's been an issue for years. But this current focus on phone-related fraud in this context, it makes you wonder how common it really is, and whether getting rid of phone services for direct deposit changes is really the best way to deal with it. Critics are worried that this move could especially hurt those vulnerable populations who rely so much on phone services and might have a hard time switching to other methods. It's like we're trying to fix one problem, but potentially creating a whole bunch of new ones. So is this really the right approach? It's a tough question. There's no easy answer. And this whole thing, it's not just about people getting the benefits right away. Coming back on these phone services, it could really overload those folks working at the field offices. They're already dealing with potential job cuts and office closures with all of DOGE's downsizing plans and putting even more strain on those resources. Well, it could make wait times even longer and delay all that claim processing. And that's going to impact millions of Americans who need those benefits. It makes you think about the bigger picture here. What does Elon Musk's involvement and DOGE pushing for all these changes? What does it really mean for the future of Social Security? Musk, he's known for making some pretty bold claims, especially when it comes to fraud. We saw that during his whole thing with Twitter. It makes you wonder what his real goals are and if his vision for the SSA is really in line with what those millions of Americans who rely on this program actually need. This whole situation is complicated, for sure, but it shines a light on how crucial Social Security is for so many people and families across the country. Now, it's a safety net. And as DOGE keeps pushing for these changes within the SSA, it's important to think about what the consequences might be, both the ones they intend and the ones they don't. We need to think about how it's going to affect the people who depend on this program. It's really about finding that balance, making sure we're preventing fraud, but also making sure that everyone can access these benefits. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into these complex issues that matter to you. The future of Social Security is kind of up in the air right now. It affects millions of people, and this is a story that's still unfolding. It needs our attention, and we need to keep talking about it to make sure this program stays accessible and works for everyone for years to come. Stay engaged, look at it from different angles, and think about what these changes really mean as we see how it all plays out.